Okay, so you went and got yourself the new iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Nice.
But now
Yeah.
the question is, how are you going to charge this thing? Wired? Wireless? Maybe a little bit of both.
Well, that is the million-dollar question.
It is.
And luckily, we've got a ton of info
We do.
to help us figure this out.
We've got McRumors, Charger Lab, Phone Arena. We've even got Anchor.
Yep. Even Cult of Mac weighed in on this one.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll know exactly how to charge this thing.
That's right.
Whether you're all about speed, if you want convenience, or if you just want to make that battery last.
Yeah, and it is really interesting this time around because both wired and wireless charging got some pretty significant upgrades.
Yeah, they did. Like my old MagSafe charger is basically obsolete now.
I know, right?
But before we dive into all that, let's talk about the battery on this phone.
Okay, so the battery is at the heart of this whole charging discussion, and it is a beefy one. We're talking 400 and 676 milli.
It's huge.
The biggest battery we've ever seen in an iPhone.
Almost 6% bigger than last year's Pro Max.
Yeah, but Charger Lab pointed out that even with the bigger battery, the phone itself is actually a bit heavier than the 15 Pro Max.
Oh, that is interesting.
So maybe it's not just a simple bigger battery, longer life thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so are we going to actually notice that extra battery life?
Yeah.
Or is it just a bunch of hype?
I mean, it's tempting to think that a bigger battery automatically means longer life, right?
Right.
But you have to remember, so many things impact how long a charge lasts. Like, how efficient is the processor?
Yeah.
What about the display tech? And even the software, how optimized is that?
So it's complicated.
Yeah, it's not as simple as it seems.
Okay, well, let's talk about the charging itself.
All right.
So first up, USB-C.
The big change.
It's finally here.
It's finally the new standard, yeah.
Well, does that change how fast we can charge?
So officially, Apple's still saying you need a 20-watt adapter or higher for fast charging,
Okay.
which they claim is 50% in 30 minutes. But some of the sources we looked at did their own testing, and let's just say it's not quite that simple.
Uh-oh, I love when there's more to the story.
Oh, there's always more to the story.
So spill the tea. How much faster are we talking here?
Well, McRumors managed to get 55% in 30 minutes using a 30-watt charger,
Okay.
and they got even faster with a 140-watt charger.
Whoa, 140 watts. That seems a little extreme.
It does seem like overkill, right?
Yeah.
But what Phone Arena found was really interesting. They actually saw the phone pulling up to 39 watts while someone was playing a game.
Wait, 39 watts? That's almost double what Apple advertises for fast charging.
Yeah. It looks like the iPhone 16 Pro Max is actually adjusting how much power it pulls depending on what you're doing.
So, like, if you're doing something more demanding, it'll charge faster.
That's what it seems like, yeah. More demanding tasks, more power.
Huh.
But there's a twist. Charger Lab also hit a 37-watt peak using a 140-watt charger.
Okay.
But their full charge test actually took over 2 hours,
Really?
which is longer than last year's model.
Wait, hold on. So it's got faster peak speeds?
Right.
But a longer total charge time. I'm confused.
It just shows you that there's more to it than just raw wattage. The phone's internal power management plays a big role.
Makes sense.
What's interesting, though, is that Charger Lab found the fastest full charge times were with chargers that were 35 watts or higher.
Oh, interesting.
They even went as far as to recommend their 120-watt GaN Prime charger.
Wow, so there's kind of a sweet spot for speed and efficiency, huh?
It seems like it.
This is already way more complicated than I thought it would be.
I know, right?
Okay, but we got to talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah.
MagSafe.
MagSafe, baby.
It's wireless, which is obviously super convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But is it finally fast enough to actually be a contender?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? This year, MagSafe got a bump up to 25 watts.
Oh, wow.
And Apple is officially calling that fast charging now.
They are.
They are. But you will need a 30-watt adapter or higher, and you have to use the new MagSafe charger.
So the old ones aren't going to cut it.
Nope, those are tapped at 15 watts.
Gotcha.
Cult of Mac did a bunch of testing with the new MagSafe,
Yeah, they did.
and they managed to hit a 29-watt peak.
Okay.
So it's definitely faster, but it still couldn't get to 50% in 30 minutes like some of those wired setups.
Yeah, I guess heat's still a factor with wireless charging, even with all these new upgrades.
It seems to be the limiting factor, yeah.
So maybe MagSafe isn't the best option if you need a quick charge before heading out the door.
Probably not for those situations, no. But think about it this way. What if instead of needing a super fast charge every time,
Yeah.
you could just keep your phone almost fully charged all the time?
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
Imagine you've got a MagSafe stand on your desk.
Mm-hmm.
You just pop your phone on it whenever you're not using it.
Right.
It just sips a little bit of power throughout the day, stays topped off.
That's actually a really appealing idea.
Right.
Especially with this massive battery.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's less about racing to 100% and more about just staying comfortably above 80%.
I think you're onto something.
Okay, but this brings up a question I've always had.
What's that?
Is all this fast charging actually bad for the battery?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like all that heat can't be good for it in the long run.
You
right?
know, you're not wrong to be cautious. There's definitely a trade-off between speed and potentially putting more stress on the battery because of the heat.
Right.
Anchor actually put out a guide on this.
Did they?
They basically said that fast charging is like a sprinter, right? You use it when you need a quick burst.
Okay.
But if you're charging overnight or you just want to be gentle on your battery, then regular charging is the way to go. It's like the marathon runner of charging methods.
I love that analogy. That makes so much sense.
It does, right.
Okay, so for those of us who want to keep this mega battery healthy, what are the key takeaways?
Well, Anchor had some great tips. First and foremost, always, always, always use a quality charger. Whether it's Apple certified or a trusted third-party brand.
Absolutely. Stay away from those sketchy gas station chargers.
Exactly.
They scream danger to me.
They do. They really do.
All right, what else?
Make sure you've got optimized battery charging turned on in your settings.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It learns your charging habits and stops charging at 80% until you need it.
Which is way better for the battery in the long run.
Much better.
Okay. Anything else?
And this one's simple. Avoid extreme temperatures while charging. Don't leave your phone baking in the sun.
Noted. Keep it cool.
Keep it cool.
Okay, so it sounds like fast charging is great for a quick boost,
Mm-hmm.
but regular charging is probably better for overall battery health.
I think so, yeah.
Anything else we should be thinking about?
Oh, one more thing. Make sure you're keeping your iOS updated. Apple's always tweaking things to improve battery management behind the scenes.
Good call. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here already.
We
talked about the huge battery in the 16 Pro Max. We dove into the whole USB-C situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we even saw the surprising comeback of MagSafe.
It's back, baby.
This is a lot to process.
It is, but I think it's really exciting to see how the lines between wired and wireless charging are starting to blur.
They really are.
And it's clear that charging strategies are becoming way more nuanced.
It's definitely not as simple as it used to be.
Not at all.
Yeah, it really feels like we're entering a whole new era of charging.
It does, doesn't it?
So for our listeners out there who are holding their brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max, how do they figure out what the best charging strategy is for them? It's kind of overwhelming with all these options.
It can be, yeah. But I think we can break it down based on what we've learned so far.
Okay, I like it.
So if you're someone who's constantly on the go, you need a quick power boost throughout the day, then a 30-watt, maybe even a 40-watt USB-C charger is probably going to be your best friend.
To get those super fast peak charging speeds we talked about.
Exactly. But if you're more of a, set it and forget it type of person, you charge overnight, you prioritize battery longevity, then sticking with a 20-watt charger and regular charging is perfectly fine.
Makes sense.
And of course, don't forget about MagSafe.
Right.
If convenience is king and you just want your phone to be mostly charged all the time, then a MagSafe stand or even just a regular MagSafe charger could be a game changer.
Seriously, it's all about figuring out what fits your lifestyle and your needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution anymore, which I think is really cool.
This is making me rethink my own charging habits, to be honest. I used to be all about getting the fastest charge possible, but now I'm like, wait a minute, maybe that's not always the smartest move.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in wanting the highest numbers, right? The fastest speeds.
Totally.
But at the end of the day, it's about finding that balance between speed, convenience, and keeping that battery healthy.
You're right. It's not just about how fast you can charge it up. It's about making sure that 676 milliamp battery lasts as long as possible over the life of the phone.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm feeling way more strategic about this whole thing now.
I love to hear it. Informed charging decisions, that's what we like.
But speaking of charging speeds, what about those rumors we've been hearing about even faster charging in the future?
Yeah.
Like 65 watts, even 100 watts? Is that even realistic? Or is that just wishful thinking?
It's definitely a hot topic in the tech world right now. A lot of speculation going around.
Yeah, I mean, some Android phones already have those crazy fast charging speeds.
They do.
Could iPhones ever catch up?
I mean, technically it's possible. Remember how Phone Arena saw those spikes up to 39 watts? And Charger Lab was even testing with a 140-watt charger?
Right.
So the hardware might be capable of handling more power, but it's not quite that straightforward.
So what's holding them back then?
Well, heat is a huge factor. We talked about how fast charging generates heat. And too much heat is bad for the battery. It can shorten its lifespan.
Yeah.
And, you know, Apple really cares about user experience. They want to make products that last.
Right.
So I doubt they'd rush into something that could compromise those values.
Yeah, they probably don't want iPhones overheating and batteries dying prematurely.
It would be a PR nightmare.
Total disaster.
Exactly. So while we might see faster charging speeds eventually, I think Apple's going to be cautious.
Makes sense.
They'll prioritize safety and long-term battery health over chasing those crazy high numbers.
So no 5-minute iPhone charges anytime soon, huh?
Probably not.
But, you know, it makes you wonder, do we even need those super fast charging speeds?
That's a great question. Maybe the future of iPhone charging isn't about raw speed at all.
Oh.
Maybe it's about efficiency and intelligence.
So instead of worrying about how quickly we can fill up the battery,
Mm-hmm.
we should be focusing on making it last longer in the first place.
Exactly. What if your phone could go for days or even weeks on a single charge?
Okay, now that would be a total game changer.
It would, wouldn't it?
No more charger anxiety. No more worrying about your phone dying when you need it most.
Think about it. We could travel without bringing those bulky power banks.
Oh, yeah.
We could work or play for hours without interruption.
But how do we even get there? What kind of technology would it take to get that level of efficiency? It sounds almost too good to be true.
It's a big challenge for sure, but it's not impossible. It's going to take a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
Battery technology itself is at the forefront of this, of course.
What about those solid-state batteries I keep hearing about? Are those the real deal?
They have huge E potential, yeah. They could be safer, more energy dense, and longer lasting than the lithium-ion batteries we're using now.
That would be amazing.
It would. But it's not just about the battery itself. We also need to optimize how our devices use E energy.
Right, so make those 4C7 T6 mAh work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Imagine software that can intelligently manage power consumption, adapting to your usage, minimizing background processes.
And what about the hardware itself? More efficient processors and displays.
Absolutely. Every component plays a role in the overall energy drain. This isn't about one single breakthrough. It's about a whole ecosystem of improvements.
So it's not just about finding some magic bullet. It's about hardware, software, and even us, the users, changing our behavior.
You got it. It's a collective effort to create a more sustainable and energy-efficient mobile world.
That's actually really inspiring. It's not just about us as individuals, it's about building a better future for everyone.
I love that perspective.
It's exciting to imagine a future where we're not constantly tethered to chargers, you know?
Yeah.
Our devices just seamlessly blend into our lives. No more power anxiety.
Exactly. And it all starts with a shift in mindset, like you said. Instead of asking, how fast can we charge, we should be asking, how can we make this energy last?
That's such a powerful way to think about it.
I think so, too.
So for everyone out there who's figuring out how they want to charge their new iPhone 16 Pro Max, what's the biggest takeaway here?
Don't just focus on the fastest charge. Think about what makes sense for your lifestyle. And D, what's best for the long-term health of your battery.
And be open to new ideas. Technology is always evolving, so adapt as new solutions come along.
Exactly. Who knows, maybe one day charging our phones will seem as outdated as winding a clock.
I love it. But until then, we'll be here to keep you updated on all the latest innovations in the world of mobile power. You know, it's pretty wild how much this whole conversation around charging has changed, even in just the last few years.
It really has.
Like, it's not just about speed anymore. It's about, like, this whole ecosystem of efficiency and making smarter choices, you know?
It's a totally different way of thinking about it.
It is. And as we wrap up our deep dive on the iPhone 16 Pro Max and all its charging options, here's a final thought to, like, really chew on.
Okay.
What if, in the future, we don't even need to charge our phones all the time?
Whoa, hold on.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So instead of obsessing over faster and faster charging, what if we just, like, didn't have to charge as often?
That would be a whole different world, wouldn't it?
Imagine. No more freaking out at the airport because you can't find an outlet.
Yeah.
Or worrying about your phone dying in the middle of, like, an important call.
Seriously, we'd be free.
We could travel to, like, the most remote places without having to lug around a giant power bank. We could work or play games for hours and hours without interruption.
It would be incredible.
It really would. But how do we even get there?
Wow.
What kind of technology would it take to make our batteries last that long?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. It's going to take some major breakthroughs in a few key areas.
Okay, like what?
Obviously, battery technology itself is super important.
So those solid-state batteries we talked about earlier, those are a big part of the puzzle.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
They have the potential to be safer, they can hold more energy, and they last way longer than the lithium-ion batteries we use now.
That would be a game changer.
For sure. But it's not just about the physical battery. We also need to completely change how our devices use energy.
So it's not just about a bigger battery.
Right.
It's about making the energy we have work smarter.
Exactly. Think about software that can learn your habits and adjust how much power it's using.
Okay.
Minimize those pesky background processes that drain your battery without you even realizing it.
And what about the hardware itself? Like more efficient processors, better displays?
Absolutely. Every single component uses energy, so we need to optimize everything.
This is making me realize that extending battery life isn't about finding one magic solution. It's about a bunch of different things working together.
It's a team effort.
Like better hardware, smarter software, and even us, the users, changing our behavior a bit.
You got it. We all have a role to play in making our devices more sustainable and energy efficient.
It's like a global effort to build a better mobile future.
I love that way of looking at it.
It's kind of inspiring. It's not just about us. It's about doing something that benefits everyone.
Exactly.
And it's pretty exciting to imagine a future where we're not constantly stressing about battery life.
Yeah.
Our devices just, become a natural part of our lives.
Seamless integration, no more power anxiety.
It's a beautiful vision.
And it all starts with changing how we think, right? Instead of asking, how fast can we charge, we should be asking, how can we make this energy last?
That's such a simple but powerful shift in perspective.
It really is.
So, for everyone out there who's diving headfirst into the world of iPhone 16 Pro Max charging, what's the main takeaway here?
Don't just get caught up in chasing the fastest charge.
Right.
Think about what makes sense for how you use your phone and what's going to keep that battery healthy for years to come.
And be open to new ideas. Technology is constantly evolving, so stay curious and be ready to adapt as new solutions emerge.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Who knows? Maybe one day charging our phones will seem as old-fashioned as winding a clock.
Uh-huh. I love that. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you learned something new about how to charge your shiny new iPhone 16 Pro Max. Until next time, happy charging, everyone.